Now, we are doing this Cowboys Mailbag live on the Cowboys Report every Monday and Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you are subscribed with those noties turned on if you want to have your questions answered. Bob Heck, who the heck is going to be tight end 3? It's a good question. We would assume Jake Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker are your top 2 tight ends. That leaves Peyton Hendershot, the incumbent, Princeton Fant, Brevin Spann-Ford, Alec Holler, and John Stevens Jr. Now, last year, had he not torn his ACL, certainly sounded like John Stevens Jr. was going to actually surpass Peyton Hendershot. Cowboys have a very strong track record, especially as of late, of finding UDFA tight ends. If you want your tight end 3 to be big and block, Brevin Spann-Ford stands out. Stevens Jr. and Hendershot are both more pass-catching options. Brevin Spann-Ford, though, is a blocker. Keep an eye on him. That's the Minnesota UDFA. Dallas, I don't know. I really want Brooks to get a big-time chance. I assume you mean Jalen Brooks, the 7th-round pick last year at wide receiver. He will fight for a role. The top 2 spots are locked in. Everything else from 3 to 5 to 6 to 7 to this practice squad spots are very much open and up for grabs at this time. Marcus Arnold, I'm not saying Zeke is the answer at running back, but he was never the problem. The run game for Dallas has been trash since we lost Travis Frederick, including last year. The disrespect is getting old. So I will say I think the offensive line plays a bigger factor. I think that is absolutely true, that the offensive line, especially last year, I think was at its most obvious, because they changed the scheme, and the run scheme was a disaster for Dallas. They just kept going up the middle. They never tried utilizing their speedy back in Tony Pollard to the outside. Didn't make any sense to me. I do think, though, there are ways we can evaluate independence of the running game and the scheme. Losing Frederick absolutely hurts, but it's also been a yard's worth of yard per carry decline since then. So I'm not saying that only the running back is bad. I want to make that very clear. But when one running back averages about a yard per carry less than the other, and this goes for like Breece Hall to Alvin Cook, we had that conversation. Went to an extent for Stevenson, Zeke last year, Pollard, Zeke, and other backs as well. That's like, okay, maybe it's not just the offensive line. So there are ways Elliott can help you. I would be very anxious and concerned if they enter week 1 saying, hey, Zeke Elliott's had 2,000 carries. He's his age 29 year. The yards per carry have dropped off 3 years in a row. He'll bounce back. That's not a bet that I would make. Corruption, I would say, of the touchdowns for Zeke, under 9.5. That is the over-under the Cowboys themselves have set. There's an incentive in Zeke's contract for to get 10 touchdowns this year. So does he get to that figure? It's the perfect figure, by the way, because half his years he's had less than 10. Half the years he's gotten to 10. Over or under 9.5 touchdowns for Elliott. O for over, U for under. It's the pinned comment on today's show. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Mark, I can live with the trade down, but I can't stand, I'm not getting barred, but I can't stand the defensive end pick. He isn't special, and we have so many starter needs, he will be a backup. So I think specifically at like defensive end, I wouldn't get overly caught up in the snaps and everything of like, he's not one of your top 2. He's not going to be one of your top 2 guys. But, and Mark, you've made this point before as well, you lost a bunch of defensive pass rushers, right? You lost Dorrance Armstrong, and you lost Dante Fowler. Dorrance Armstrong played 42% of your snaps last year. It's a lot of snaps. Dante Fowler played about 25% of your snaps. Now, Sam Williams will probably get some of those, although this team is not sold on him at this moment. And he will play snaps for you. He will be a key rotation piece for you. And you did fill starting holes at center, at left tackle. You didn't fill one at running back. I think Leofau will be even more of a backup in year 1 than Kneeland will be. I am worried about the pass rush upside in the end for Kneeland. He's a very good athlete, though. And he does help you on the run-stopping side. Now, you could have just signed somebody, which we said about every position for the entirety of the Cowboys offseason, and they just weren't interested in doing that. From Kivo, could let Dak walk after this year, considering it's already over. Draft Sanders and sign Stefon Diggs. I think you would let the season play out, because you'll probably be a playoff team. I won't go too negative on Shedeur, because there are a lot of things I like about him as a prospect. I was the one saying he was a legit quarterback coming out of high school, and other people weren't. But he has to be better under pressure, has to be better past his first read, has to be better pushing the ball downfield, and needs to log off. Him and his dad. That's not leadership. You would never see Bill Belichick. You would never see Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, whatever, out there going, quote tweeting former players and teammates and dogging on them. That would never happen when they're still playing football. I think frankly, everyone involved in that whole latest Colorado saga looks bad, including the old teammates. I remember the one guy tried to post a screenshot of I had more PBUs than your son, and screenshotted the Shiloh's stats, and Shiloh had stats better than him in every single category except PBUs, and it's like, this is not a flex. Everyone looks bad. My advice to everyone growing up: just log off online. It's just not even worth it. It's just not. Now, today's show, we got a special deal for you guys. It is the Tyler Guyton rookie jersey. Go to chatsports.com/Guyton. That link will be in the comments and the description of today's show. To get the Cowboys' first-round pick, if you're looking for like a Kneeland or Cooper Beebe, that one's been pretty popular. You can also go there and then just search for it. Chatsports.com/Guyton. TKG, Mike McCarthy is done after this year if we don't do anything. Absolutely he is. He's out of contract. He will not be back if they go one and done again. If they do, I will probably jump. Peter, Tom mentioned the Dolphins and Niners in my rooms, but what about Zach Moss or Javonte Williams? I think Williams is still the number one back in Denver, so I'd be a little surprised if they flipped him. Zach Moss is the number one back in Cincinnati. I would have loved to have signed him. Honestly, that was my issue with the way the Cowboys have handled the running back room. Good arguments like Zeke's good in short yardage, good in pass protection, offer some third down stuff, good red zone stuff. You know who was awesome in those categories last season? Zach Moss. He was incredible in short yardage, in red zone, in third and short. And he had great explosive plays. You would have taken care of two roster spots with one by paying $2 extra million for Zach Moss. Not Jeremy Chugs' burner. What are Deuce's touches going to be like this year? I'm not going to do the last part there. I feel like I'm going to get canceled for that. Anywhere from 0 to 120. Who knows? And that goes for every single player, I think minus Zeke, on this Cowboys roster in the running back room. Zeke's been team. He's got too much guaranteed money. He's going to be on the team. He probably tops off at me. I shouldn't go above 150 or 160. Other than that, I think we're probably not getting good efficiency results there. But everyone else, they could make the team and be RB2 right now, or even RB1 in Rico Dowdle's case, or they get cut and are practice squad options. A lot of competition there. Tony, can the Cowboys swing a trade for DK Metcalf? No. This team's not going to throw money at DK Metcalf and throw picks away. Not away, but at Seattle for him. It's just not going to happen. If you get lucky, they'll send a day 3 pick for a back or a defensive tackle, which I would do, by the way, because you're in line for 3 fifth-round comp picks next year. You're going to have a lot of picks. So name a player you want to trade for. Any player, any team, any position, sound off in the comments section. Dallas. Who is the kick return guys with the new rule? I like Tolbert, but I think Brooks adds more. Is Calais Campbell a stretch? Depends on the money for Calais Campbell. But he's at the top of my list. You need DTL. He's a good veteran. That stands out to me. I would like to see Brooks get a chance too. I think the preseason matters for those guys. Camp matters even maybe more so for those players. As for the kick return, guys, great question, my friend. I think Turpin is still pretty clearly your number one. I think in particular, though, what you're looking for is vision with the new kick return rules. So at wide receiver, I think it's still Turpin more than anything. You could get creative and put Stefon Diggs back there. Because there will be less injuries, I doubt Dallas would do it. I would not be scared about CeeDee Lamb, though. Especially like in high leverage moments, it might be worth it from that perspective. And then I think one of your running backs makes sense. That could be anyone from Deuce Vaughn, actually could make a lot of sense for you, or like a Rico Dowdle as well. $20 super chat from Anthony Ramirez. Thank you, Anthony. Tom, what is this organization doing? The riches in sports. See them blowing up this team. How can the Eagles get players and sign their players? They just have better owners. The biggest difference right now is this Cowboys ownership group is terrified of dead money. They get very scared by it because they don't want to pay it. And they actively count the dead money as part of their books. The Eagles don't give a flying flip about dead money. They do not care. They'll say, we're down $20 million in dead money. We'll just borrow from next year. And then we'll borrow from next year and borrow from next year and borrow next year. And technically, you can do that infinitely. There's nothing stopping you. There's actually not. Now, there might be a point where you're bad and you don't want to borrow from the future and you'll take that dead money hit and rebuild, but you don't actually ever have to. You can always borrow 20, 25, 30 infinitely. You can always borrow 10% if you want because 10% goes up and does more for you each year. That is doable. Now, you don't want to get to the Saints spot where the Saints bet on the wrong team. And I think Dallas's main core concern right now is they are prepping as if they don't pay Lamb and Micah and Dak as well, where it would just be easier to pay those guys and then build from there. They could blow it up. I think Jerry doesn't want to, though, which is going to make next year very dicey. And my concern is that this team is going to be okay saying, you know what, we'll pay an even higher premium and have the flexibility of waiting than just making a decision. I think that's a bad idea. From Josh Ball, if Trey Lance balls out and the Cowboys, do Cooper Rush get traded? I actually don't think Rush has much trade value. He was a free agent and nobody went after him that hard. Cowboys brought him back for a little bit more than the vet minimum, which is great. I think this part too, with the rules have changed in the NFL. That emergency third quarterback can come from the practice squad. So I think you will see more teams rostering 2 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster, which would mean everyone's carrying a practice squad quarterback, and it means there's probably not that much poaching going on in terms of the roster cutdown time frame. So will Cooper Rush make the Cowboys roster? Y for yes, N for no. Vince, is Connor Williams still in play for the Cowboys to give them flexibility, and we don't know what we get from Guyton and Steele? I think because you drafted Cooper Beebe, no. Because Beebe offers you the exact same flexibility, left guard or center, that Williams would offer you. Hoffman and Bass, I think, can also do that backup guard stuff. There is a non-zero chance that Connor Williams does not play this year. That he ends up just taking a year off. It was a bad knee injury. He is rehabbing still. So I would say keep that one in mind, that Williams might not be ready. I think taking 3 offensive linemen kind of takes you out of the running there. Wouldn't be mad at it, though. I think they're going to give Steele the right tackle spot. They've paid him. It is make or break year for Steele. Maybe they don't let Guyton start week 1, but I don't think they want to flip Tyler Smith midseason. So I think Williams is probably unlikely at the time. Good mindset, but I think a bit unlikely.